course, we're at Water Hazard, where we're going to start off our day. Of course, we all know 5180, popular license plate number of driving into our drives in the evenings. The welcoming front door. Now we're off on our way in the car to go around.
This used to be part of the property, the Hermitage property. Sold to the government.
It's what?
Sold to the government.
What are they going to do with it?
Well, they're going to make it into a park. I hope not to let a lot of layabouts come and live up there. Can you hear me when I'm talking in back of you?
Oh yes. And who did it belong to?
Oh, it belonged to the Freelands, mothers, grandparents, William, Henry and Freeland. So this is Freeland property here. And this is the Hermitage here. Eliza Ann Anderson Freeland, the married Captain William Henry there lived, and they are my grandparents. And my mother came back up here to have her first 3 children. And I think we were born in that front room there before the blinds closed.
What did you say?
They used to have a croquet lawn there. I even think they had a tennis court, a small-ish one. But lots of pictures taken of all those lovely sago palms. Mind you, no cars or anything. Horse-drawn bus.
We're amateurs at this, and so we're having a slow start. This is the front door of the house.
Of the Hermitage.
Of the Hermitage property.
Hog Bay level.
At Hog Bay level, right. Looks like a new cedar door, but they probably did have a cedar door, I imagine, don't you?
I think they did, yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if those blinds weren't cedar original.
This is a little cottage at the back of the Hermitage property, and it's owned by Elsie's mother. She says somebody used to live in here and there's no toilet or anything. They used to charge them £1 a month.
Reverend John married there, and his son came out here, and he married Miss Fowl, who owned this property. Her parents were dead, and they built this house in 1832. And as I was telling you over there, the Freelands lived at the Hermitage. The Mayors lived here at Shrewsbury. And Mr. Mayor came over from Shrewsbury to the Hermitage and married Miss Freeland. And Mr. Freeland came over from Hermitage and married Miss Mayor. And they are the grandparents of Ben Stapleton. That's how we become doubly related to Ben.
And that was very clever. They didn't have too far to go to get a date.
No. Well, they didn't have anything to go in either.
That's right.
And, that gate was just wide enough for a carriage. And,
Which gate?
This gate. This was the main entrance. And when cars came in, Uncle Roy put that there because didn't want any cars knocking those gates down. It was only horseback riding and carriages who could come in. Carriage couldn't get through there.
The carriage couldn't get through.
No, but I think horseback, that was a great way of getting around. Instead of a bicycle, they all had a horse. And when there was a death, someone would ride around and take the news to all the neighbors and relatives.
Like Paul Revere.
Yes.
And this is the house.
Where Uncle Roy lived, and Aunt Woody before him. Aunt Woody was always, what do you call them, the arbiter of the family? Doyen, is that a word?
Sounds good to me.
Everything. If Aunt Woody approved, it was all right. If she didn't, don't do it. Do you ever have people like that?
I think I am. Just a joke, in case anybody's watching this.
Very good. You see, Craig is now building onto it. But it's a gorgeous property.
So, Uncle Roy is your mother's brother, and this was his property. What is it?
That represents the ramparts of Shrewsbury in England.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was to make him feel at home out here in Bermuda.
Who was this?
My great-grandfather, William Henry Mayer.
And what's this used for now?
It's a tank.
Oh, it was a tank originally,
Yes,
but just had that
but
on
he
it.
put the
Turrets things on it, just for
ramparts, think of them.
just for effect.
Oh yes, make him feel at home. There's a pumpkin burn.
This is the olive tree. Gosh, it's big. It's never produced an olive as far as Elsie knows.
Yes, right.
Beautiful property.
Father, Lorian Conway Trott, lived in the flats. And he met my mother through Uncle Willie. And on Sundays he would walk from flats to Somerset to court.
Oh my goodness.
Is that in devotion or something?
That's very good.
Not on a bicycle, on his feet.
Must have really been in love.
Yes. Uncle Compey's house, Glasgow Lodge, where we came every Saturday and Sunday and even spent several summers up here in a cottage, which is now their knocked down. The dock and we just had the greatest time down there.
Who's Uncle Compey?
Well, Uncle Compey is my brother, and Aunt Marie.
Your brother Conway, right?
Yes, my brother Conway. Bought this for £8,000, and Mother said, "Now I know you're pissed." £8,000 for this whole thing.
This is
He bought the first cars in the
his Toby Trott's father.
Trott's father.
What's it called again?
Glasgow Lodge.
Yeah.
When I had the children in the car, they'd say, "Way off, Daddy. I see Uncle Compey's house. I saw it first."
Typical.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is Cozy Knowe on Rockville Lane in Pembroke, where Aunt Fanny Zool and Aunt Helen Zool lived, and Winifred Wilkinson and Edmund. And we lived just above the
Right. This is what?
Northstar. It's Watson backwards.
Ah.
Belonged to Mrs. Watson. And this is really where I grew up. All my fond memories. We used to play house just over the wall there. And one day, Mother was listening and she heard Dorothy say to Ewing, "Take these bananas over to your Aunt Fanny, who lived just over there in the wash house." And the bananas were yellow oleander leaves. So from then on, Pop called us Mama and Aunt Annie. Henry and Esther lived here. There used to be a big barn here, and we play oyster sails.
Mm-hmm.
You've never heard of oyster sails, have you?
I can imagine.
But it really was lovely. And taught Richie Gorham to ride his bicycle just down here. The hill, it seemed steep as Gibbs Hill, and now it's nothing. Residents only beyond this point. And this is where the Gorhams lived. Lillis and Grace and Richie, Chucky and Betty. And latterly, Henry and Dorothy lived here.
Henry and Dorothy Masters.
Yes. And Linda grew up here.
Right.
And I hope they're not going to be very cross with me turning a ring in the water and then get turf. Not turf, that... What is that stuff? And it would be like a little swimming pool surrounded by grass. Oh, that seemed so big to me. Look at it. It's very tiny. We also... It's where Grandma Mayor died.
Uppington.
Uppington.
Which is just over the road, really, wasn't it?
Yes.
You did what? You wrote on these walls?
Yes, it meant.
That's dreadful, Granny.
Mother must have been very distressed.
And what did you do to those lights up there?
Used to throw stones out and break the bulb. Thought Mrs. Gross.
Now this is what?
This is Shawbury, where we moved when I was 9½. And it was a tremendous move, really, just before Franna was born. But very near the school and everything. We could walk, come home for lunch. And this farm, Pop used to eat. Oh, we all ate breakfast right there. And he'd say that was his hourglass. He watched it every day and knew time was running out. All right, okay. John used to come and park his bike right there in the back porch.
To court you?
To court me, yes. And he had this lovely blue cashmere sweater. He left it in his basket. And we weren't supposed to smoke, but I was saying, I tossed a cigarette, burnt his sweater up. He didn't mind. That's all right.
That's true love.
Yes.
Sorry?
This is where we had our wedding reception down here in the back. And this avocado pear tree. Every year we had to collect hundreds of them and then go around giving them to everyone. It's quite a chore.
Gosh, it's big.
Yeah. See, look.
Oh.
I don't think it has one on it now.
This is the back part of Shrewsbury, right?
Shawbury.
Shawbury.
Shawbury is a little town near Shrewsbury in England.
Ah.
That's why it's called Shawbury.
And Linda and Reed lived here for a little while too, didn't they?
Yes. about a year after they were married, I think.
This is Rosemont Avenue. Yeah, I'm just getting some of the old wall up there, which is nice. Where Granny used to do graffiti.
This is where Pop's grandparents lived. Mr. and Mrs. Gosh, what are they named? Frederick Ward. And Granny Young was born here. She was a Lean Ward. And they had a very large family, 8 children, I think it was. So this is sort of the homestead for Dad, for John Young.
Mm-hmm.
You may not know who Dad is.
Well, we'll work it out.
Used to be a lovely farm.
Oh, it was it?
Yeah. Frederick. I often call John Frederick because Granny always said her father was so liberal. Go to town, buy all these roasts and things. And Daddy's very much like that. So I always say, yes, Frederick. I've read in the beach.
And tell me what you were saying. We've stopped here for lunch. And what were you saying?
Oh, yeah. After that strenuous morning, we stopped here for lunch. Have you ever been to Coconuts? Go down a very steep hill, lots of steps, but gorgeous when you get down there. Only they won't let you sit with right.
Go.
Here we are at the Reefs, where we used to come and listen to the Talbot brothers. Can't remember that song.
Mr. Trimming and Mr. Trot?
No, it was something to do with the waves coming in. What is that? No, it's gone from me. But we had lovely, lovely times up here. Oh, look at the
house, yeah.
Oh, please.
Look, my
Even at night.
I'm not taking...
All clothes.
I'm only doing up the top.
It's just doing up here. And this is Donna, who should have left 20 minutes ago. And she's still here ironing, and I'm going to send her home.
Yeah.
That's the story of our life, isn't it?
Hey, one day my father, I was out in the back working in the garden somewhere like that, and my father came out and asked me if I'd like to go to pharmacy school. I said, certainly. It's like that. He says, well, I've made all arrangements for you to go. You go next month. This is in August, and I went in September. Took the boat in those days, of course. You'd have plans.
Which
Had a nice time on the boat.
Which boat?
I think it was the Van Dam. The old Van Dam.
How about the Queen of
The
Bermuda?
Munson line was running here.
Munson, not Queen of Bermuda.
No, Munson line. It was cheaper than the Furnace boats.
They were
Had a special student rate of £15 per trip, round trip.
I went
15
for £8.
Well, you might have gone sooner than I did. I
No.
went later. Maybe I'm younger than you are.
Where did you travel from? Bermuda to...
Bermuda to New York,
And then?
then by train to Albany, 3-hour trip.
Your parents take you?
No, they couldn't afford to go with me. Parents take you. God. It's like the selection of colleges. Selection of one, you know. Group of one to select from. See what I mean
Excuse
about
the
being out
rocking.
here?
Pass well?
We weren't aiming for anything but a pass in those days. If we passed, it was good. 75%.
Did you live on campus?
No, there wasn't any room on campus until the last year when we had a fraternity house. The first 2 years I lived with a Mrs. Bissell. With the first 2 years, a fellow named Frank Pond. He and I roomed together. He's dead,
Jonathan, are you a person that Red Cotton?
and so is his wife. I think she'd take
No,
two kids.
she's remarried.
She's remarried. Anyway, he died from, I don't know, overwork, I guess.
He had a kid
Father
named
made
Nancy
Pond School
Pond.
cream.
Yes, of course, you remember.
Father made Pond School cream.
Wow.
FN Pond School
Really?
cream.
When did
No.
you
Not
fall
deep
in
on.
love with
No.
Granny?
Hmm?
When did you fall in love with Granny?
Oh, that was just after I got back, 32. And immediately I fell in love with her. She went away to college for 4 years.
Get away from it.
That's right, to get away from it. Remove all hazards. Sort of thing.
But you used to come up.
I went to Montreal
go to
several
Miguel?
times.
He used to come up then. He even arranged to work at that corner drugstore.
I did that once.
Theo and
I
Shirley.
didn't used to arrange, as if I did it every
Theo
time
and
I
St.
came.
Catherine.
It wasn't there every time I came. I was once.
How'd you get time off?
I didn't buy it in those days.
You didn't what?
I didn't have to buy it in those days. I bought it recently.
Not about time off from work.
Oh, time off from work. Oh, huh.
That's the question I thought you were answering.
was either, you know, I get the holiday or else. I
But
wouldn't.
you did
I
come
could
up.
work for somebody else.
You did come up other times to see me.
Sounds like you went up there about 4 times a year.
But you did arrange
Once
to work 2 weeks.
Once during the
Peel starts.
winter. Cold in Montreal too.
You know, Peel and St. Catherine, John Ward,
Very
Peel
well.
and St. Catherine, Johnston. Yeah, he worked
It's out there
2
now.
weeks.
I worked there for, I think it was 2 weeks, yes. Or 1 week.
Maybe.
So when you came back from university, you got married.
No, I had to wait for 4 years. This girl went away to Montreal then, to McGill. So it was not till 1937 that we got married.
He waited for 4 years while she finished school.
Yeah.
4 years.
And then she came back and they got married in 1937. Immediately Dad went into the war.
Well,
next
30,
year.
38.
When-
Yep.
So we're down here in Flats Village, which is real truck country. My father, Laurie Trott, lived here all his life. And that originally, before they built that condominium, was where the Trotts lived, the Mussons. And my grandfather, A.W. Reed Trott, was a great flats man. He had a little shop here, and they used to say it was like Charles Dickens' shop. Everyone would come in and sit on their bales of hay and things of sugar, what are they? Bags of sugar. Sit there and talk all morning. And that is Hillcrest. Actually, my father never lived there. It was built in 1911, the year that he was married. And he always lived in Bridge House and, gosh, I don't remember that house. But Grandpa and Grandma built Hillcrest and then turned it into a boarding house, which is really quite unheard of. Really. But she did well. All that. She was Mariah Eve Davis, Grandma's truck. Lovely. We used to come down here as children and jump in it and watch it from Hillcrest, watch it change. It only rises and falls about 2 feet. And of course all these boats right here then. If there were one rowboat, would have been lucky. Oh,
No.
this is Bridge House, where Bob, his 2 brothers, and at least 1 sister, maybe all of them were born here. And it's a great favorite home of the Trotts. I think I'll just tell you this little story that Bob told me. There was a young boy named Satan, or they called him Satan, and he was adopted by Mr. Scott Dearman. And Mr. McLaughlin, teacher at Whitney Institute, he said to him, "I have went." So Mr. McLaughlin says, you will stay in after school and write 100 times, I have gone. So he sat there and wrote, I have gone for 100 times, and then he put at the bottom, and now I have went. All those stories, so many of them, I'm not going to tell you all of them. Now this is Hazelbrook, where John was born in 1911, 81 years ago. Mr. and Mrs. Young lived here when they were first married. Then they moved on to Salt Winds, which is now Toby's house. So we'll just have a look at Toby's house.
And this is, what road are we on?
Where, I don't know. It's just near the Salters, near Salters Grammar School, the AA field. Woodlands Road.
That's
Woodlands
right,
Road.
that's right. The other thing we forgot the other day when we were talking, when we were up at,
Somerset?
yeah, was when we were at the Reefs and you were talking about the Talbot brothers.
Yes.
And you were trying to think of that tune. You
Yes,
remember what
yes.
the tune is now.
Ebb Tide.
Ebb Tide.
Yes.
Yeah. Which would have been good down at Flats, wouldn't it?
Yeah, yeah. There's a little brook just up there. They may have filled it in now. Lacey used to take us out in the afternoon, Dora and myself and Ewing. And she was halfway up the hill away from us, and Dora said, oh, well, jump in and get those flowers on the water. So I jumped in and nearly drowned. I couldn't swim. So Dora calls Lacey. Don't know why Ewing didn't roll right back in the carriage, but she seemed to put the brake on and got me out of there, covered with this muck and stuff.
Oh, gross. Is that part of Mills Creek?
Mills Creek. Yes, I think so. It goes right along. But I have a feeling they've done something to it to stop it. John's family came here to live when he was about 7, and he had scarlet fever. Outside his bedroom window, I think he had it for 6 weeks, he was in there. Outside his bedroom window was a beautiful green shrub. Ever since he's been trying to grow a green shrub outside his bedroom window.
Where are we?
Where it, Salt Winds, which now belongs to Toby Trout.
In
Paget?
right, that's Salt Kettle.
On Salt Kettle Road.
Right.
I think it's Salt Kettle Road.
This is just another view of Salt Winds, Salt Kettle, opposite Glencoe. Really pretty. There's Glencoe, lovely view from this house. Across the harbour. Nice and quiet around here, no trucks whizzing by like there have been in some of the other recordings. Okay.
We're at Cambry Hall, which is in Warwick, just west of Amen Corner, where the Youngs lived. Oh, I should think from the time John was 10 till he was 20 and went away to school. And we used to all come over here for parties. So it's very much our youth. Mine as well as John's.
And we're next door to...
Next door to Warwick Academy. Well, of course. That's where John went to school and really was one of the top boys and athletes and everything.
our hero.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
What's that story about him coming home at lunchtime?
I wish I could think of her name. Gerber or something like that. She'd watch out for him jumping over the wall. Say, here he comes now, get ready for him. Oh, he's got to hurry back. He's hurrying.
So he used to whiz home for lunch and
Oh yes, and whiz right back.
whiz right back.
Oh yes, it had to be ready immediately. The girls went to the high school.
Sorry, there's a lot of traffic and I don't think
Yeah.
we heard you.
The girls went to the high school, but he always stayed at Warwick Academy. Loved it.
Okay.
Warwick Academy bought Cambry Hall when it was the same. After the Youngs moved over to Ripley in Hamilton, which is where we're going to go now. So they have quite an extensive property here. Warwick Academy is the oldest school in the world. I think something like 1812. They must have one room.
Now you can see it. You see the red light
Where?
on the camera?
Way over there.
Yeah.
Yes.
That means it's on, which it is now.
Yes. And we're at Ripley on the corner of King and Victoria Street, where the Youngs lived, and Daddy was married from here. John was married from here. I've got several pictures of the boys up here too. They moved from here in 1944, I think, to Dominica, but Dominica's no more.
Dominica is where
American International is now. Stories that I know.
the reason everybody lived in town, or a lot of people lived in town, was, you were telling me.
Yes, because we had no cars and you had to be near your work, an office, or whatever you were doing, or school. So we all lived very near each other in Fairylands and Fitzbay Road and Paget East and Hamilton. People who lived in Warwick could take the ferry over, so that wasn't too bad. If they lived near the ferry, it was all right. And what else?
Don't tell me you've run out of things to
I
say.
run out of things to say. The only thing I really remember about Granny sitting up there in that porch, she showed me how to fold socks. You know how you do it, and you turn them in and make a neat little package of it.
I'm sure that's the way Carol and the boys do their socks now.
I've done it ever since.
Pretty architecture, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a neat way of doing it. Well, you know, Mother and Pop lived up on the 3rd floor when they were first married. Pop and Mr. Young's apartment. The children were brought up in it. Board and maid. And Carol, she used to work at the annex on the ward. Did you know that?
Mm-hmm. Gave her a rash.
Yes. Made her very nervous. We may never get out of here. Georgia.
At the cathedral?
Well, here,
No.
Bishop came to see me one day and he said, would you take it on temporarily until we find someone? And 12 years later, I moved to Warwick and I told him I didn't think it was going to work. Coming to Warwick.
I think I missed what you were saying,
That's
that you were doing the flowers.
Yes, in charge of them. The bishop came to see me and asked me if I'd do them temporarily
Oh, I see.
till he found someone. So 12 years later, when I moved to Warwick, I still hadn't found anyone that I'd do them. I must give up now. Somebody's calling.
Now what happened here?
Well, we were married, John and I were married here on October 14th, 1937. And that morning, it was a Thursday because we had a holiday in the afternoon. It rained all morning and it was overcast. And when we were kneeling on those steps there, the sun came right through on both of us. It really seemed to be a very good omen.
It lasted a long time, so maybe it was.
It was lovely. Of course, the altar was a bit different then. We didn't have all those figures.
It's very pretty, isn't it?
Beautiful. Tremendous
What
work.
did you say? It was destroyed by a hurricane?
Fire.
Oh, a fire. And they rebuilt it, and now they're restoring it again.
Yes.
Were the children christened here?
Oh, yes.
All the children.
All the children were christened. They also went to Sunday school here. And I was confirmed here, married here. I don't think I'll be buried here. It's very much my church. If we didn't live in Warwick, we would have continued here. That was our back door. And we moved here right after we were married. Came back from a month-long trip, if you can believe it. And settled. Ward was born here. Wasn't born here, but we were living here when he was born. There used to be a clothesline. I suppose they all have dryers now. We didn't have anything like that.
And this building in front of it used to be...
That was a barn where Pierman lived, the gardener. Then we have to go around this house.
Tell me again, this was the back door.
This is the back door, Westmeath Bungalow. It didn't have that lovely sign on it, or even the plants. That was our kitchen. Left down.
Wait a minute.
And when we came back from our honeymoon, that corner was just filled with poinsettia. It was the most beautiful thing, all in bloom, gorgeous. And Ward's first birthday party was out here in the lawn. You've seen those pictures?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I told him not to touch that ivy,
On the cake.
and he did not. I don't know whose house that is. Who wasn't that in? The Ward's room was there. Ours was on the other side. This is the living room and dining room, and then you saw the kitchen.
This part on the right here was not on? Was not here?
No, it was here. The Bernards lived here.
Ah.
Ronnie Bernard's parents. And I often think how they must have heard the crying going on, you know.
Of the children?
Yeah, of Ward.
Oh.
Ward. I didn't have the other thing. Just Ward. I wish they still had those poinsettias. You've no idea the impression it made on me. Look at those palms. I suppose they were 2 feet high.
They're gorgeous, aren't they?
That belongs to Richard Ashford. Didn't even know it was there.
Looks like a new house.
Yes. Ward was 9 months when war was declared. And John joined up in the army, and it's just Ward and I left. Ward and me. Ward and me left. And Ward and I guess. And I was scared to death. Stay here by myself. Haven't improved yet. Still scared. I don't think those steps were there.
They're pretty steps, though.
Yeah. I don't think they were there.
Looked like they were.
I didn't need to ask to come, did I? Mr. and Mrs. Conyers ran a guest house at Westmeath.
They lived up here, right?
In that big house, the Westmeath.
Oh, they lived over there? Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's a huge place. It's now the rest home. But we thought we'd make a little extra money, so we said if you get too many people wanting to stay there, we'll put them up here. So this is before Ward was born, and we had 2 girls come. And they came in about 1 o'clock one morning and took a shower. Well, John Young got out and he said, "Don't you ever turn that shower on in my house at this hour." That was the end of our paying guests.
Not a good hotelier.
Can't you hear it?
Oh, yes.
Ever. Oh, dear. So very pretty.
Okay.
We rented it for 8 pounds during the war, because no houses were renting and everyone had gone back. But then the census began coming. So of course rents are going up a bit. And we had an old oil heater. And I called Miss Goodman and I said, "Do you think we could have an electric heater instead of this oil heater?" "You certainly may. The rent will now be £15 a month." "Thank you very much, Mr. Gibbons. We'll look for something else."
I think need to be further away, I think. The entrance.
I told you the story on the King Street.
The entrance used to be where?
It used to be right here on the corner. See, it's corner pocket.
In Pembroke.
And Reed was born December 1940. And I told you about the heater and everything, and how we decided we'd move. Then we went up to Mary Lou Cooper's, just up the hill here. There's going to be killed.
Which was your bedroom?
It was
Living
this
room.
one in the
This
front,
front?
then the living room, dining room in back, and kitchen in back, and we had 2 bedrooms, but adjoining. And I had a nurse, of course, with me. Curtis Smith. Well, after Mr. Gibbons raised our rent, and Mary Lou and Chili moved to Avocado Lodge, we rented their house, which really was lovely. And Ward had his 3rd birthday party here, and Reed his 1st. And I don't know whether they're home, really. They're trespassing.
Oops.
But it's quite attractive.
It is a pretty house.
This was the dining room and our bedroom.
Where's the dining room?
Here,
Down the bottom.
yes.
And up above was the bedroom?
Yeah, 3 bedrooms going back, and the living room's way over there on the left, up the steps.
How long did you stay here?
We were here, not longer than 8 months, when Tilly said that Marley wanted to come back. And I was very upset. So we were put out sort of within a month. And Ewing had just been married, and he had a house and no furniture. And we had furniture and no house, so we joined forces.
That was very good.
Yes.
Creative.
We'll go over there and see that house now,
Okay.
where Betty's sister was married. It's funny the different reasons for moving around. Store to us at Mary Lou's. You could see it very well.
Who owned it?
Arthur Cooper.
It's a really pretty house. I'm just putting it on camera because I think it's attractive.
Yeah, the
Okay.
house furniture.
Yeah.
So we, already?
Yep.
So we moved from Mary Lou's house, Innisfree, on hidden land, over here with Ewing and Betty. And they had just been married. And Betty's father, Colonel Sword, always came to visit us. And one day, Mrs. Young telephoned me and said, "What are you doing at 1 o'clock in the afternoon?" I said, "Well, we're just having a wedding in the living room." Wedding? Yes, Betty's sister's being married in the living room at this moment. And another time, Mother just lived over there, you see.
Where did she live?
She just lived over that way. No, way over.
Oh, way
You
over there.
can't see it.
Oh, okay.
And she had something worrying her, so about every hour she'd come over to talk to me about it. So the last time she came, Ward said, "You here again, Mama?"
That Carol wasn't here, was she?
Oh,
This is just
no.
Reed and Ward.
Oh yes, Carol Stuxnest, where we're going now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
What's the name of this place?
Glenhaven.
And what's this? This must be Farrar's Close or something. I saw it on
Farrar's Close, yes.
off Farrar's
It
Lane.
wasn't anything as fancy as that in those days. It was just a white house, just built. And Ford had his hernia operation when we lived here.
You can hear Belko going from here easily.
Boys and Carol just ran around. Why they didn't run out and get killed, I can't think. What would I say to them if she comes out? Right here.
Sorry, I didn't hear you.
That's the boys' bedroom and their private bath. On this end, and our living room over there, the front hall. Our bedroom and bath just behind. Same sashes too that we have. I think they're built hard. Sure they have that bedroom. But this is where I feel the children really grew up. And when they found we were moving to Whittles Bay, Carol particularly was very upset, leaving all her friends. I don't know if the boys minded so much. Because they were freer. They could get on the bus by themselves.
And they also had each other, so...
Yes. Well, Ward went away the next year after we moved to Waterhazel. And so it's such a business keeping that front porch clean. They put a radio in here now, but that's where our garage was, where that cottage is.
Or over here?
They built one. It cost £100, the garage. We thought, how are we ever going to pay for this?
Now you moved here when?
1941
Until?
till 1951. But I think if you asked any of the children where they grew up, they'd say Duck's Nest.
Yeah. Pretty.
Isn't it pretty? Oh, there you go, it's down there. Their bikes. One day I looked out the window and Reed was lying down there on the grass. I tore her. I must have died. He's sound asleep. So tired.
And this is on Fairylands Road, isn't it?
Yes.
Pembroke.
Fairylands Road. Pembroke. Shall I just knock and see?
This all wasn't here, of course. This
Oh,
was
no.
Banana Patch, right?
Yes.
This is around the back of the house.
Lemon trees and avocado patches. And it's a very old house, except for the part they built home.
And that house over there.
Where the Mosses lived, Tommy and gosh, what's her name? Anyhow, can't remember.
And the Burrs.
The Brewers lived there. They still live there, but his parents, his mother lived there.
Tommy's mother.
Yes,
Or the Burrs' mother.
the Brewers mother.
Okay.
Aunt Mary and Uncle Ira lived up there, Outerbridge, Mary Outerbridge, and Stuart Outerbridge, and Pat, she was his first born, and all the children lived here. John, yesterday we used to keep up that grass. I'm sure they do too. It's part of the road.
Why was it called Duck's Nest, do you think?
It's always been Duck's Nest Fairylands. People used to think it was such a funny address, Duck's Nest Fairylands. Well, I didn't say that Carol was born.
No, you didn't.
Carol was born here in 1944, and we lived here till 1951.
For 10 years.
Yes, but Carol for 7 years. This is Mushroom Cottage where Peter Weeks and his family lived. And one morning at Duck's Nest we heard him singing, "Bring me some toilet paper, bring me some toilet paper." And poor Peter Weeks, he was blamed for everything, no matter what happened at our house. Peter Weeks did it.
So he lived almost next door.
Yes, just one house over. The Mosses there, and then Peter Weeks. But he was quite a character, because we blamed everything on Peter Weeks.
Okay.
You've already said this is water hazard, and we moved from Duck's Nest up here in 1951. And Mr. Young bought this property and
Next door.
Corner's property, and he gave us this house. And we built this house. Will Onions designed it. And
the old man liked it so much that
yes,
he came up here and built that house,
yes,
Windy Corners.
that's right. And I was so pleased to move up here because every Thursday and Sunday I had to drive the children up to Riddles Bay Golf Club and pick John up. So I thought, wouldn't that be lovely? I can have Sunday dinner and everything. We were here 1 week.
Come on.
John met.
It wasn't 1 week.
Yes, it was 1
It was
week.
like, give me a couple of months or 3 months.
Well, that's all right. And John met Sven Hug, who had a one design. Next week, John learns half of one design, and we're driving back to the yacht club.
It wasn't like that. I sailed with Van Hook for about 2 seasons.
Ask the boys, they know.
Oh,
And
yeah.
Carol, they all know.
They know now.
Yes.
When we moved up here, we moved with Ward and his chickens and all up Front Street.
Trailing out behind. We hoped no one would know it was our move, but you couldn't miss Ward with his chickens and everything aboard.
As we came up here, this place really hasn't changed much since we were here.
Not the front.
The front door has a large brass lock on it, which we imported specially from California. It's
Lovely love. Maybe you could see it and take a picture of it.
You got it.
It's not very close.
Yeah, I zoomed up.
Oh,
did
you can zoom?
oh good.
It's so clever. And,
Now,
well,
who lived here then? In
Where?
this house? You lived here?
we
Nobody
lived,
before we came here.
nobody, we built it
Yeah.
and moved in when it was half finished. Even this roadway was not made.
And what year was that?
1951,
We
And you
moved in.
stayed here until...
1966.
We moved here to we moved in to get the builders out.
Yeah, that's
They
it.
wouldn't have, I think, gotten out for another 2 or 3 months had we not moved in.
And at Duck's Nest, I had that wonderful Elmira Joel, who was so good to the children, all of them. And the week before we moved from Duck's Nest, she said, Ms. Young, I'm going to leave you. Well, I'm in tears and telling John, he says, well, you've still got me.
Special dishwasher.
Oh, yes, great dishwasher.
So you left here, you moved from here in 90... You had the boys and Carol were here?
Yes,
And then you moved from here to...
Windy Corners.
And who moved in here?
Oh, Mother. No, wait a minute. No, Mother did. Yes, Mother moved in and bought the house.
Your mother.
My mother. She bought this house. And then when we moved out there because Mr. and Mrs. Young were dead, and we bought Windy Corners.
Yeah, your mother moved in with us. And then we moved over there to Windy Corners.
Yeah, but
By the
she
way,
stayed here.
this was called water hazard, which is a golf term,
Yeah.
because the 12th tee is located, well, right over there. And the golf balls used to land in our front lawn. Now we got a house that's called Windy Corners, and
It
that's
should
the
be
water hazard,
water
really.
hazard.
Isn't it?
Yes.
We should take the name with us, but we
Isn't that a sweet little veranda, though? Portico, whatever you call it.
we should have taken the name with us, but we didn't like to. We considered it bad luck to
Bad luck. That's the
change
only
the
thing
name.
I miss about this house.
what
The name.
name? When what hazard? Oh,
It's 1982 now.
Yes.
Well, this is Windy Corners, where we moved.
in what year was it?
1966, the year Reed was married. And
We
we haven't done too much to it, except in the front. I'd like to take a picture of all that. I always thought Granny would say, "What a fool I was not to do what you've done."
The only thing, she didn't see it as it is.
Yeah. You'll have to walk around because that door is locked, of course.
I can go and unlock it if you want.
I'm recording.
That sailboard belongs to you. What is it called?
Windsurfer.
Windsurfer. You didn't use it this summer.
We've only recently, in the last couple of years, put this pergola on here for the cars. It got so hot in summertime that I thought we ought to be able to drive them into something. Very convenient. Store the cars.
And this used to be a little backyard where Granny hung all the clothes.
And her washing.
And this was the garage. But when Carol's children began growing up, we really needed somewhere for them to be. So we built this in '75.
Now we're turning the corner going around to the slut house, right?
Yeah.
Is that what you call it?
Flat house. Birds are nice.
All
And
these,
this is your
well, yes,
expertise, isn't it?
all these odd things you see here, we've got for the church fair, which is on November 21st. Give them a couple of baskets as well.
Yeah. Yeah, that purple one they can have.
I really haven't been giving the proper attention to this recently.
But do you notice how those have come along the anthurium since I weeded
yes,
and
I know. I know.
did everything to them?
You need water.
How about that? And now I sort of just run out of things to say.
These citrus trees, that lemon that somebody gave me when it was about maybe 18 inches high, and then about 6 or 8 years it's grown as high as that. And it got some lime around that is.
That lime is on the ground there.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a small lime, but they're very
They're
nice.
very good.
These trees came from, what's his name up there?
Calling tree?
Calling tree,
Oh,
yeah.
you know, I started to think of his name the other day. I can't think.
Can't think of his name. All this out here.
Do you have planning permission for all this?
Yes. Oh, yes. That we,
No, we have.
anything above 3 feet.
Well,
we
no,
had to
it's
have.
temporary. This is considered temporary. So I don't have,
Yeah, but that wall there we had to have.
well,
planning.
yes. Had to get permission from
And
Riddles Bay. And that was very easy because I just wrote myself a letter giving myself permission.
we've had up here. Mm-hmm. Are you filming?
Yes.
Well, we started with Salters Grammar School. We had barbecues on the lawn. And then for the last 17 years, we've had the BBRC here. It's about 150 people. Oh, and that lovely bougainvillea. Isn't that just coming out beautifully?
Beautiful.
Did you open the other door too?
Here comes the boss.
Oh, I. You think he's the boss too?
Yes.
Good, I'm glad you said it. He knows it too. And I always said it'd be secret to a good marriage to allow him to be. You taking Ward's pose?
Mm-hmm. You're
Many a good cocktail party and buffet suppers out here.
and dinner.
And dinner and Christmas and
Easter and summer and winter and
I say everything that you see around here, the way of plants, has been grown from slip. except that thing there we bought from, we bought to give this place some height, and Carol was married. It was about 3 feet,
About
2
that
feet
high.
2 feet high.
And we thought it was so nice that it was giving it some height. What's that
They come
called?
from all over Bermuda, these slips and plants and whatnot.
Well, you know, if you steal them, they grow better.
Yes, that's right.
So they tell me. Sorry?
It's fine.
These cedar doors have a little story on each end here. They were made from the cedar that came from the property that the family owned called Cambry Hall.
Yeah, Cambry Hall's in this too.
Now you have a story about this too.
What? Oh, yes. Well, the dining room table with the 2 DNs, a sideboard, a corner cupboard, and that little washstand and 6 chairs we bought from Mrs. Dunscombe. John bought it before we were married.
Right. John bought it
Excuse me, John bought
before
it.
we were married.
Paid £39 for the lot.
Did it? I thought it was 15.
39. 15 for the corner cupboard.
Oh, yes, that's right.
John thought, my gosh, what a waste of money.
This was at an auction.
Well, Miss Dunscombe lived next door to Mother, and she said Elsie might be interested in this
Dining room table.
furniture. They went over there and got the lot.
Now who painted these paintings?
You know, I can't remember. Where's
Samimi.
Samimi.
Is the
Yeah.
name, yeah.
Now dead. And the kitchen, it's nice to say that
Oh yes.
my brothers and sisters gave it to us after Mother died.
It has the same floor as it did, what, 23 years ago, is it? Or
Yes.
23 years ago?
Donna wants to change the floor, but we've got it so nailed down that it would never come
It
up.
was coming up, so I nailed it down every so often.
Didn't make that noise. Do you want to make that
We could be putting out a harmonic, but I've got the filter in the background and so forth and so on. So, let me talk a bit. I don't know how long you want me to talk, so how long you want me to talk, George? You'll be listening, of course. Maybe if I turn it over to you now and
2 weeks ago, I cleaned this room. I've been told never to touch it, but I couldn't stand it any longer, so
You don't even have to come in it, you know.
I moved each thing and put it right back in that place. So I don't think John can find much.
No, everything is back in the same place, I must say.
Except that picture, Donna like that up there. That used to be over
Oh,
here.
yes. What's his name?
Barry
Goldwater.
Goldwater.
He was in here once and did a little,
You were here. You came to the lunch, didn't you?
he did a little radioing with me, and
He
very
ran
interesting.
for president of the United States.
Yeah,
Is that the message on there?
yes. I don't want to do it right now.
That would be nice to.
Okay.
You're gonna use it?
Side.
Well,
Were you going to use it?
Use what?
Hi,
It's Ward.
it's Ward. Just calling to say hello. Take care.
give,
Carolyn Ward was married here on August 15th, 1968. And quite a very big reception.
how many people will be there?
600?
Something like that, yeah. All out here.
All down there. And then they went to Cambridge Beaches for their honeymoon just one night. And John drove them up there. Did you take anyone else? Did Ward
Well,
take us?
his best man was supposed to go with me, but he was so slow getting to the boat, and I had him aboard, and they were throwing rice at the boat, so I took off. The rice, you know, with the dew and everything during the night, sticks to the deck, see?
Yeah.
And I had to scrub it down the next day. But I was getting more and more of this stuff. Anyway, I took them by boat to Cambridge Beach. It's moonlight night, I think. I made it very nicely under the bridge.
and took my antenna down and all that sort of thing. And the doctor came to the beaches and let them off and came back. I don't remember whether I put the boat on the moorings or put her against the dock or what, but
Did you find her there?
next morning she was on the mooring. I had had a hard day.
I should think so, and all by yourself. Coming back.
Yes, coming back. It was nice to be moored up the next day. But this harbour here is now full of boats. Must be, I suppose, maybe 100 out there, maybe 80 to 100 anyhow, counting the lower bay and all that. But when we moved out here, my boat and one other were the only boats in the bay.
One over there,
Yeah,
by Heron's Nest.
and all these have come in since. Seems that everybody wants a mooring in Riddles Bay because it's so protected. It's safe from hurricanes, really. One hurricane had an old pacemaker. She was a nice boat, and she had a bimini top. And I looked out during the morning when the wind was blowing pretty well, 80, 90 miles an hour, and I saw the bimini top going down.
It came right off.
Came right
Yeah,
on.
yeah.
Took
How
it.
many boats did you have?
That was
one?
Your mother
That's
gave
the second one I had. She was a pacemaker, bought it from a fellow named Gaines.
Jack Gaines.
Jack
yeah,
Gaines.
Jack
But
Gaines.
she was a good boat, twin engine, and wooden though, but she was easy to run, and had a flying bridge with controls up there and all that.
Is pacemaker the name of the boat or
Pacemaker, yeah.
the
The
make?
name of the boat was Time Off.
It was.
Always time off.
Yeah.
Except the middle one after John's operation. It was called
Bypass.
Bypass.
That was an outboard, it wasn't very good. Didn't run very
Yeah.
fast.
That didn't last
I
long.
might tell you about my first time off. It was a little sailboat, about 15, 16 feet long, and I used to keep it down the RASC wharf where Marine and Ports is now. And Elsie and I'd take Elsie out in the afternoon, and I had the afternoon off.
On
And
Thursdays?
Well,
Yeah.
no, I worked on shift from 6 in the morning till maybe 1 o'clock or 1:30. Then I came on again at 6 and worked till about 12.
At
But
night.
and I was off in the afternoon. Elsie and I used to go sailing, and we sailed around Allen Harbor and it Sound.
Imagine having a boat who had a sailboat.
did.
You know, he didn't have much, but he did have a sailboat.
I bought it myself with my own money.
I know you did.
Nothing
My
wasn't given to
precious.
me.
Oh, I know.
Well,
And then, so you had that one, and then you had the pacemaker
oh
one.
no,
And
yes.
then-
And then I had one I bought from Conway. Mother gave it to me.
Oh, yes,
That's right,
it was
yeah.
Conway's boat.
That's right. And then I sold her, and I had 2 boats at the same time. Very bad. Never have 2 boats. You're trying to sell one. And nobody wants to buy it at the price you want to get for it,
And they know you want to sell it back.
So I finally got rid of it. And I had this pacemaker. Beautiful. Had her for about 20 odd years. And then I swapped, when I got my bypass operation, I got rid of her because she needed all sorts of repairs. Then I got,
Jim was so wonderful to you when you had your bypass.
oh my dear, without Kim I wouldn't have had my bypass.
Wonderful when you did that.
Then I had, then I got the one that now the Ward has, which is the final one. Don't think I want any more boats. My legs won't stand me.
Probably five.
Huh?
He can't get up on the foredeck.
Not
Is
very
that
well.
it?
Could I suppose, but not very well. My legs won't stand it.
But we used to, in fact, they used to ski in here
Oh yes.
on Sundays. Paul ashore and different ones. And we'd invite people up and sit in the lawn and watch them skiing. Because there were no boats there, you see. But as soon as the boats started coming, no more skiing.
One day a boat came up here, and Reggie Evans was aboard, and Reggie Evans went up the bow to put the anchor down, and the skipper of the boat says, "Okay, drop it now," which Reggie did, but it didn't have any line on it that day. So he lost that anchor. A lot of mud in the bottom of that bay. All sorts of things.
So we've been out here since 66, 86, 26 years. We've been, well, actually, just thought when Reed was married, 26 years.
That's right.
We did.
You done move again?
No.
I hope not.
We
Next.
don't intend to, but it depends on our health, really. We might have to move on account of our health and go to somewhere small and we don't have so much
Besides,
upkeep.
it's very easy to work with because we're on one floor. We built water hazard with that in mind.
So much so that
There wasn't even a step up to the front door, you know, it just went right in. But this does have a few steps. So we were thinking about our old age even back then, 51. You have to think of that.
been a lot of changes to this house since it was first built. I think this patio, for instance, was never here.
Oh, no,
And,
the porch was there.
There were 3 bedrooms instead of 2. Our bedroom is the result of turning 2 bedrooms into 1.
Yeah, bedroom
That's a
and bathroom.
bathroom, yeah. I don't think you want any more of this stuff, do you?
You want to sign off?
I'd like
I
to.
know.
Well, first,
To all the children.
I just want to thank, yes, all the little stories that we've been telling you, or I've been telling you. I'm sure you remember them, and I have told you a million times, and I'm sure you said, "Come on, please don't tell
Don't
that
tell us
again." But I think it would be nice for my children
The grandchildren.
and grandchildren, and
Reed.
all the 3 families, Ward and Reed, Ward and Kim, Reed and Linda, Carol and Wall, and all the grandchildren, Ardley, Wardson, Shannon, Stephen.
You're going to name all 9 of them?
Yes, if I can. Shannon, Stephen, Chris. He's younger than Shannon. Older than Stephen. James, Jonathan and William. Should say William and Jonathan. William's older than Jonathan. And Carolyn, who is now 18. Or is she 19?
Is Carolyn our youngest? No, James is.
No, Carolyn.
Carolyn's the youngest?
Oh, yeah. James is going to be 20 this year.
So that's the
Carolyn's
reason
gonna
for this film.
be-
That's the reason for this film.
Turn it off for a minute.
Well, actually, we are making this for the grandchildren, really. Maybe the children as well, I suppose, but the grandchildren, really. I think that our family is one of the best.
We've been very lucky with
That's my halo getting polished.
our children, our in-laws, and our grandchildren.
Yeah.
None of them have caused us any problem at all.
And we're very proud of them.
We're very
It was,
proud of all of you.
It was brought out at Hartley's wedding, I think. They said to us over and over again how well our family looked and behaved.
And got along together.
Yeah. They all
And of course those shorts, they knew exactly who was who, which was lovely.
yeah. It was very, very rewarding to hear that.
And John wants to tell you about bringing
Speak up.
bee company into Duck's Nest. It's been raining, and it's all grass, no road like you saw today. And he said, right, wheel, And he and the whole company came into Duck's Nest. Were rationed. We have nothing. I did have some grape juice, borrowed some sugar, which is rationed from Aunt Mary. Made them all grape juice. What did you?
Well, I wanted to tell about the march. I was stationed at Prospect at the time, and I brought the company on a route march down the North Shore and into Ripley, into Duck's Nest. And on the way down the North Shore, Harry Smith was leading the march, and was a little colored boy running along with us. We got interested in this, and one of the fellows said, go up to the front and tell that man in the front that his young mother wants him to come home tonight. Which he did. And it was quite funny. And when we were in Ripley, we were having a poker game. This must have been after the war, because Henry Masters and a bunch of us were upstairs.
Before the war.
Before the war.
Before we were married.
Playing poker, and all of a sudden the fire alarm went, and Henry was on the fire brigade, so we broke up the poker game and took off because the fire was up at Fort Hamilton, which is just up near Ripley. You go up the road there, Happy Valley, and Henry was running ahead, and he didn't realize that Fort Hamilton had a moat around it, so he jumped it with wire at the time and landed, just missed one of these sentry plants, with this bar.
Oh, yeah.
And just missed it and fell near it. And I was behind him, and I missed Henry, wondered where the hell he was. And he called out from down below, I'm down here. I said, Henry, I'll have to go from help. I can't get you up without some help. So just stick around for a minute, because I can't go anywhere. So,
I understand.
I went and got somebody, we hauled him up. There was a bridge across the moat, and we let down a rope, and I got down there and tied a rope around, well, both of us really, and somebody hauled us up. I was thinking about the Phoenix building, the old Phoenix building. Elsie was talking about her family living up top there. When we just renovated it about a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, I guess it was now, in 1989, the wallpaper from the Nokomis Inn was still on the wall. And never, from that day to this, was still on the wall. Glen Haven, yes, Glen Haven.
John's looking at all his notes because we've just finished watching this whole film, and as we were going through, he wanted to put his additions in, so we're giving him an extra couple of minutes at the end of this film to put his little anecdotes in.
Glen Haven. I was stationed at Bose Island at the time, it was during the war, and I had a plumber in my platoon. So he and I had leave the same day one day, and I said, Stanley, how about coming down to the house and help me put this tub in it? We can't get the bathroom finished, and we'd like to take a bath. So we had been taking showers, I think, before that. Anyhow, we brought him down there, and we measured the bathroom, put this tub in, he and I, and found the walls were half-inch too close to one another, and we had to dig out the wall to put the bathroom in. We finally got it in that afternoon, after we chopped out half an inch from the wall to shove the tub in.
John was a captain in the army, and Ewing had just been married, and he was a lieutenant. And Ewing had his bedroom here, and John and I, when John could get off, had ours here. So Ewing had to jump in the window because he's AWOL.
Oh, this is when you were both living together, all living together.
And Ewing had no peace at all because his captain's right there.
Ah!
Knows he's AWOL.
Elsie's talking about, I was talking about sailing in Hamilton Harbor. And that little boat I had before we got married, before the war, must have been 1933, 4, something like that. And one day we got in front of the, must have been a boat that was going out.
I was with you.
Wind dropped, yes. We got from wind dropped and this boat ship was blowing
The
a
Queen.
whistle and we couldn't get out of the way because the wind had dropped. You couldn't do it. Anyhow, I got out of paddle and paddled out of the way of this vessel that was coming out of the harbor. Anyhow, that's a beautiful thing. Oh yeah, duck's nest. One day I came home from, I think it must have been during the war, and there was a hole in the ceiling. Out the size
That's
of
out
a
here.
broom handle, you know?
Over here.
Oh, was it?
Water.
Water handle. I thought it was that. Yeah, I changed my story.
The same thing.
Yes, well,
It's a good story though, tell it.
I wondered how this hole got in the ceiling. It seems that, what the boys got,
Wally Evans.
Wally Evans got in a fight with the boys or something like that. Anyhow,
I don't know why they did it, but he put the broom right through the ceiling and stood on the mahogany antique.
oh, just to do it, yes. They were getting after something, and they put a hole through the ceiling. That's about all.
Didn't somebody fix that hole before
Oh,
you
yeah.
came home?
I don't
Yes,
know.
I think,
I
well,
don't
he
know,
more
yeah.
fixed it.
I don't know.
And you noticed that it wasn't right, you know.
Oh, yeah?
Has
thought
Ward
it was still
told
there.
you this story?
I've heard the story before, but that's why I say why it's good to do this, because you see, we've heard the story and now we can't remember
That's
the
all I
right.
have.
We all have our own versions of what it is.
Yeah.
That's all I have.
You've got a lot more notes there. You sure there isn't something else you
No,
wanted to
nothing
say?
Nothing else.
Okay.
Yes.
Well,
We
bye
were all
bye.
in awe of, you know.
Beg your pardon?
We were all in awe of.
Or of who? Oh.
Means John, but
The
that's
others.
not true at all. Had to toe the line every minute.
Oh. That's the children.
Okay.
Oh,
We'll say goodbye to everybody.
yeah.
Okay, goodbye then.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for letting John say those
Goodbye.
few.
To do it, right? Have you got something else written down there?
What's
No, it's not on. It's not on.
One day at Westby Bungalow, there was an emergency.